Yeah, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's happening? David Benavidez and JERMALL CHARLO are heating up the conversation about a possible fight between the two. David Benavidez has come out and said that, you know, he heard that JERMALL was moving up to 168 and that he would love to welcome JERMALL CHARLO into the division. Back in 2020, JERMALL CHARLO, while struggling to secure a big fight, he was like, man, you know what, I go up to 168 and fight David Benavidez. And you know, of course he want the Canelo fight, but to no avail. You know, he said, I'll go up there and fight these guys, man. And you know what, I think this is a great fight. I would love to see this fight made. I don't think JERMALL CHARLO needs any type of, you know, tune up to like get acclimated to the division. I feel like JERMALL CHARLO is a natural 168 pounder. And that's where I feel like he would, JERMALL CHARLO would be his best, his most comfortable, his healthiest. I feel like JERMALL CHARLO at 168 will be stronger than he ever been. He could possibly fight at 175 one day, but that might be like no higher than 175. I feel like 168 is a sweet spot for JERMALL CHARLO. This fight would be a very intelligent slugfest, to be quite frank. This will be, you're going to see two guys that are game bred. You're going to see two guys that are mentally tough, two guys that are very, very strong physically and mentally. Both got that killer mentality. Both want to put on a show. And, you know, there is two guys in the ring that will not allow you to step on them, pretty much. They not going to lay down and just let you step on them. If you going to beat them, you're going to have to take their heart away. And that's going to be tough. That's why this fight is such a great matchup, in my opinion. This is one of those fights where, as a fan, if you watching, you don't want to get up and go to the restroom. You don't want to get up and go refill your motherfucking popcorn or some shit like that. Like, you want to keep your eyes glued to the TV because it's going to be action-packed through and through. David Benavidez, very, very strong guy, very tough, fast hands. He's a pressure fighter, comes forward and throws a lot of punches and bunches, and he has really, really good punching power. A lot of knockouts, a great puncher. JERMALL CHARLO is, in my opinion, a more balanced fighter. I think he's a more complete fighter when you look at the tools. He got decent hand speed. I'm going to give David Benavidez the edge, the advantage with the hand speed. I think JERMALL CHARLO's timing is better. JERMALL CHARLO has a better jab. He can walk forward and walk you down with pressure. He can also box, as you've seen versus Sergey Derevyanchenko. In that fight, he showed you pressure in some spots, and he also showed you that he can box off the back foot and set traps. You know, use the jab and open you up to land combinations. He has a great left hook. He has a great uppercut with the left or the right. JERMALL CHARLO really has every punch in his arsenal. And I believe David Benavidez really has all the punches in his arsenal as well. Both of these guys are extremely offensively gifted. I think JERMALL CHARLO has better defense than David Benavidez. Both guys seem to have decent chins. I haven't seen either guy hurt, you know, as far as like, you know, being in any type of trouble or anything like that. Both guys have really, really solid chins. I've seen JERMALL CHARLO hit with some shots, and he's always been able to stand up to him. And David Benavidez, he been in there with, you know, Anthony Dirrell, who is not a great puncher, but he can punch. Anthony Dirrell can hit, and you know, he can box as well. And Anthony Dirrell had a lot of success in that fight as far as boxing off the back foot, but that fight ended up getting stopped due to, it was a cut that that Dirrell had, and I don't know if it was due to a punch or a head, but an elbow or something like that. But he had a cut where they had to stop that fight. But you know, I think with this fight right here, I just can't see a fight like this going to the cards. This would be a fight that is just, it almost has to end in a knockout. I don't see David Benavidez fighting going backwards. I've never really seen him fight going backwards. Jermall Charlo, I don't see Jermall Charlo taking a step back against David Benavidez. Now, I think that, of course, there's going to be a strategy there. And I think in some spots, you know, he'll try to set traps and stuff like that with his footwork and, you know, taking, you know, a step or two back and just trying to get his distance in order and you know, establish dominance in the ring and ring generalship. But this, for the most part, this fight will be fought in close quarters. This will be a highly competitive, an extremely intelligent phone booth slugfest. These guys are going to come to fight. It's going to be a lot of power, a lot of combination, a lot of punches thrown. You're going to see David Benavidez try to use his speed to his advantage, and you're going to see Jermall Charlo trying to use his timing to his advantage, his counter-punching ability to his advantage. Jermall Charlo is a very, very good counter-puncher. And, man, you know, Benavidez has a 1.5-inch height advantage. Both guys are going to be strong and sturdy in that ring. I believe that Jermall Charlo at 168 will be his best. I just feel like at 168, Jermall Charlo, this is probably going to be his best division. Once he goes up to 168, I really don't see him like leaving that division for a long time. 168 is going to be, that's going to be his division. You know, I think he'll feel his healthiest, his strongest. The weight cut is going to be a lot better for him. Jermall Charlo he's a big guy. You know, for the divisions between 154, 175, he's a big guy. And especially at 168, I mean, I feel like I think he'll fill out beautifully at that weight. David Benavidez is a really big guy as well. He's had some trouble on the scales. Hopefully that's not something that's going to be a trend for him, you know, because you got to think about the fact that, you know, we are in a pandemic right now. So that may have had something to do with him missing weight by such a large margin. But I feel like for a fight like this, I think David Benavidez is going to be disciplined. He's going to be, you know, on his shit, making sure he's making weight, making sure that he's in shape. He's going to have to in order to be able to beat a guy like Jermall Charlo. And Jermall Charlo, you know, that guy stay in the gym. He stay focused. They never miss weight. You know, he always in the gym, man, always focused, always disciplined, just a tremendous fighter and a tremendous athlete. And he takes his craft very, very seriously. So, man, I hope that they make this fight. I hope they make it. I don't think Jermall Charlo needs any type of tune-up. I think he can go straight away into 168 and fight David Benavidez. He's the more experienced fighter. He's been in with a lot better competition. He, you know, coming up in Texas, man, Texas, in the Charlos, they'll talk about it, man. Coming up in Texas, fighting in the amateurs and sparring and stuff like that. Like, Jermall Charlo has seen his fair share of Mexicans, you know. And when I say that, I mean, you know, come forward Mexican fighters, very tough, very strong, very durable. Come forward, throws a lot of punches, slugfest, phone booth fighters. Like, Jermall Charlo has seen that's what the Charlos came up off of. That's what Earl Spence came up off of. You know what I'm saying? You know, Earl Spence grew up training when he actually started to get into boxing. He came up training in a Mexican gym. You know, so these guys, that's not something that's new for fighters that come out of Texas, because there's a lot of Mexicans here. And in boxing, you know, coming up in the ranks, these guys, they mixing it up. You know what I'm saying? So I think this will be familiar territory for a guy like Jermall Charlo, getting in there with a fighter like David Benavidez, who is, you know, very, very strong, very durable, got fast hands, throws a lot of punches, and he gonna come forward. I've never seen David Benavidez fight going backwards. And it'll be interesting to me to see how he responds if JERMALL CHARLO is able to push him backwards. And then it's also going to be interesting to me to see how JERMALL CHARLO responds if David Benavidez starts to get a rhythm going with the hand speed and the pressure and trying to walk him down and trying to push JERMALL backwards. So I feel like, to be honest with you, I expect both of these guys to leave it all in the ring. I don't think this fight will go to the cards. I just can't see this fight going to the cards. It's gonna be a stoppage. It's gonna be a stoppage. And if it ain't no stoppage, if both of these guys are still standing at the end of 12 rounds, man, both of them gonna need to go to the hospital and get checked out. It's gonna be like, this fight is gonna be a hellacious match. It's gonna be two guys really putting it all on the line, you know. And there's so much offense in this fight. It's so much offense in this fight. To be honest with you, I'm calling it 50-50. I would have to lean more towards JERMALL CHARLO simply because I feel like he got more tools in the toolbox. I feel like he can do more as a fighter. What happens when David Benavidez, you know, he putting the pressure on, and what happens when he's missing shots and getting countered by JERMALL CHARLO? What happens when JERMALL CHARLO uses subtle footwork and makes David Benavidez adjust, make him, you know, overextend himself, miss shots, and get countered? What happens if JERMALL CHARLO is able to push David Benavidez back with the jab? You know what I'm saying? How does he respond with that? That's why I got to give JERMALL CHARLO the edge. It's, in my opinion, it's a 50-50 fight. And you got to consider the fact that David Benavidez has already been fighting at 168, so he comfortable there. But I got to get an edge to JERMALL CHARLO just because I think he got more tools in the toolbox. But this is a great fight. And it's a pay-per-view worthy fight. I wouldn't mind if they put it on just regular PBC Showtime, but I think that's a pay-per-view worthy fight. The undercard just got to be lit, you know. But that's an action-packed fight through and through. That's one of those fights that, as a boxing fan, if you claim that you like knockouts, you claim that you like action, ain't no way you can not want to see JERMALL CHARLO versus David Benavidez. There's no way. Nobody is going to leave. Ain't somebody going to get knocked out. That's just point blank period. Somebody going to get knocked the fuck out. That's just how it got to go. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see, man. I hope they make it. And hopefully we'll keep our ear to the streets, man, and really see what's happening and, you know, see if they get some traction going on this fight. You know, but I really hope they make this fight happen, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. How do y'all feel about JERMALL CHARLO versus David Benavidez fight? Do you think it can happen next, man? Y'all let me know. Contender Regime Boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.